Hey, it's Mike Camber with FlipNerd.com. Welcome back for another exciting VIP interview where I interview some of the most successful real estate investing experts and entrepreneurs in our industry to help you learn and grow. Today, I'm joined by Holly McKhann. She's a Southern California-based real estate investor that has flipped hundreds of houses and learned through really evolution the importance of networking. So Holly has really become an expert at networking to find deals, and today she's going to share her knowledge with us via several great ways that you can use networking to find deals. We really can't talk about this stuff enough, so it's going to be a great show. Before we get started, though, let's take a moment to recognize our featured sponsors. RealtyMogul.com is an online marketplace for real estate investing, connecting borrowers and capital from accredited and institutional investors. Get a rehab loan fast and close in as little as 10 days. Rates start as low as 9%. We'd also like to thank National Real Estate Insurance Group, the nation's leading provider of insurance to the residential real estate investor market. From individual properties to large-scale investors, National Real Estate Insurance Group is ready to serve you. Please note, the views and opinions expressed by the individuals in this program do not necessarily reflect those of FlipNerd.com or any of its partners, advertisers, or affiliates. Please consult professionals before making any investment or tax decisions, as real estate investing can be risky. Hey, Holly, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. This is such a great topic, too. I mean, there are so many people. I'll tell you a couple little stories along the way as you kind of share your experiences, but so many people either don't network or they go about networking really all the wrong ways if they do anything. So it's going to be interesting to kind of hear some of your lessons today.
I'm excited to share them.
Yeah, great. Well, hey, before we get started into that topic, talk a little bit about how you got started. And I know, like my wife and I, you and your husband work together, and you're corporate refugees and all those things. So kind of share your story with us.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Well, my background is, which I didn't even tell you this before, but I used to be a CPA. So fresh out of college, I went to work for a CPA firm, Ernst & Young, worked full-time as a CPA 5 years, got married, took a break, and had 4 babies.
Wow.
Stayed home, not all at once, but,
That's good.
Had 4 kids, stayed home with them, and was, not really working too much, doing things like teaching aerobics. Anyway, my husband has been in engineering and home building his whole career.
Okay.
The last part of his corporate life was working for home builders, various home builders for 8 years. During that time, separately on the side, he had found a piece of land to auction and title. That was his specialty, still is, and got this land ready to flipped it, was able to quit his job, and we started investing after that.
That's great.
We originally did kind of a large project right after that, thinking we were going to do something big, did this condo conversion that didn't do so well, so we decided to start flipping houses one at a time.
Yeah. And
that's worked out really well for us. We've done over 200 here in Southern California, and it's been really good fun. I won't say easy, but it's definitely fun.
This is not an easy business. A lot of people that don't have the experience like you do think it's easier than it is, but it's a hustle business, no doubt about it, right?
Definitely. Yeah. And every single deal, something comes up.
Yeah.
Like weird things and requests for repairs from the sellers. Or just last week, I had a house that didn't appraise for the purchase price because it was such a hot deal. It just got bid up, and then it didn't appraise for where it got bid up. I mean, there's just something different on every deal that we learn.
I agree with that. Yeah. Awesome. Well, so talk a little bit about kind of how you evolved to realize how important, networking is. It's something that I actually talk about quite a bit, so I'm excited to, swap stories a little bit, but just talk about kind of how you got to that point and just why it is important.
Well, at the beginning of our house flipping career, we would go to the courthouse steps here in Southern California, Riverside, Corona. We had a team, and it was really easy. Whenever we had cash, we could buy a house within 24 to 48 hours, sometimes 1 hour. My husband was like this deal junkie.
Yeah.
So we would get the cash in the bank, from a deal that closed, and he'd be like, Holly, has the wire hit? Has the wire hit? As soon as that money came, he would run to the courthouse steps with the cash in hand, ready to buy another house. And the banks were just, offloading their inventory.
Yeah.
It was easy to get deals.
So tell us, the auctions in California, are they every day?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
We haven't been for about 3 years now.
Yeah.
Because what happened was these big hedge funds with hundreds of millions of dollars moved in, bid at, sometimes above market value, because all they had to do was make these houses work as rentals. Not us. We had to buy below market so we could fix and flip.
Right.
We weren't in the business to make 5% return like they were.
Right.
So we're like going, okay, how do we evolve? How do we adapt? How do we change?
Yeah.
So as you can tell, I like to talk.
Yeah.
I love to talk to people. I love to, figure out how I can help others, how we can make money together. So I started networking, and I would talk to realtors mostly. I would tell realtors, find me a house. If you bring me a house, I'll buy it with you. I'll resell it with you. And we probably bought like about our next 80 houses or so that way.
Wow.
2 realtors we probably did 10 houses plus each with. They got it. They loved it. They're both guys, both men, which really embrace this. And they just kept bringing us their own listings and other listings they'd find. They'd stay plugged in and network themselves. They'd hear about something come up, and then they would snatch it and say, Holly, let's get this one.
So what you offered them to, what some people refer to as kind of double-end it. So they made a commission when they bought it, and they made a commission again when you allowed them to sell it for you and presumably make their full commission on it.
Yeah, and we were so perfect and loyal in that. I mean, on one of these deals, we had someone come to us during the rehab and say, it was a realtor that lived nearby the house, and he said, we have a deal. We have a buyer for your house, but of course I want to represent the buyer. And then we want to sell it too. It was like this weird thing where they wanted to buy on the sell. So we let them do it, and we paid the realtor that got us a deal. So we paid 3 commissions.
Wow.
Now, it was a fat enough deal that we could do that. And our realtor was so shocked. His name's Pete. And Pete was like, wow, really?
Yeah.
And then, we did another 7 deals with him after that. So it was well worth it to, not only have integrity, but take care of people, assuming you can. I mean, if you can't and the deal doesn't work and you explain it,
right,
it's different.
So talk a little bit about kind of that phenomenon of why, just the mentality of why how you kind of appealed to realtors to find you deals, because they got a chance to, make more money. But talk a little bit about why that made sense for them, other than the obvious.
Why it made sense for them? Well, I'm an easy client. I'm a lot easier buyer for them to work with than someone that's like, I don't like that yellow wall.
Right.
They know that we're just looking at big picture.
Right.
And I'll tell you what I do to educate realtors. I'll just tell you, like, a little conversation I'd have if I meet one. I'd be like, hey, Mike, tell me, how long you've been doing real estate? And you'd say, like, 20 years. And what's your area of specialty? Oh, all of Southern California. And I'm like inside going, yeah, right. You really know that, but whatever.
Right.
I'm just like really nice and warm and friendly. Like, hey, Mike, I'm always looking for people to work with and to join my team. And if you can help me find houses to flip, I'll buy it and resell it with you. 100% loyal, guaranteed. Is that something that would be of interest to you? Yes, of course.
Right.
So say, okay, so when you come across a house, I'm looking to buy something at about 70 to 80% of after repaired value. So, and sometimes I'll throw out the term ARV. So that means what it would sell for, fixed up, all beautiful. It's going to get like the top dollar.
Right.
And they're like, their wheels start spinning. And I even go through the math, because not every realtor is a math whiz, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I love them anyway.
Yeah.
So I'll say, for instance, if a house would sell for $500,000 fixed up, you multiply that times 70%, I would need to buy it at about $350,000. So 500 times 70% is $350,000. Now, I make it really basic and easy.
Mm-hmm.
I know you can whip through numbers super fast and easy, but make it doable for them.
Yeah.
And I'll tell them, I don't expect you to know rehab costs, construction costs, anything like that. Just if it's in that ballpark, send it over to me. And I just look for 3 things in an email. Number 1, purchase price, like what you think I can get it for. Because sometimes they'll have the inside track from their friend in the office of, what it would sell for. Number 2, the after repaired value with comps to support it, like at least 3 comps that say this is what it's going to resell for. Comps is comparables. Mm-hmm. And number 3, I asked for a list of repairs. What do you think it needs? What kind of construction does it need to make it fetch that price that you suggested? So, I just make it and I say, please don't put me on your automatic MLS email.
Yeah. Here's my 20 listings. Go make offers.
Right. So, I talk to probably 100 realtors for every one that embraces that and tries to send me stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe 50 to 1, because a lot of them are like, oh yeah, that sounds awesome, and they never do anything with it.
Right.
And it's kind of frustrating because I tell them, hey, I've done this 200 times. I'm going to keep doing it. I need deals. I'm a sure thing. I'm going to buy houses.
All right.
And still, you can only do so much with them.
What do you think it is that so few embrace that? I mean, a lot of, I'm not saying anything bad about realtors. My wife is an agent as well, but why is there such a divide between kind of the retail side of the business and the investor side of the business in the realtor mindset?
I think it's too hard for them. It's just too overwhelming. And I know some investors will throw out an Excel spreadsheet at them and say, do this spreadsheet and calculate this and what's my ROI, and they throw out terms or IRR, and the poor realtor's just like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what this person's talking about. That's way too hard. Investors are too hard to work with. So you have to be friendly and warm and not putting them down, and not be condescending, and just be like, hey, this is what I need, and love to work with you.
Yeah.
Make it easy for them.
Yeah. And so talk about the importance of, I know you're big on talking to people face to face. I mean, so many people want to sit behind a computer or behind an email or call people on the phone, because you can obviously, you can cast a wider net that way, but just talk about the importance of doing this stuff face to face versus kind of over the phone or
Sure.
through the internet.
Yeah, and I'll share a quick story of going to a networking group too. Well, and I just love to preface this by saying, especially if I'm speaking in front of a group, I love to say, how many of you got in trouble in school, especially elementary school, for talking to your neighbor and getting in trouble for talking? That was me. Now it can help make you tons of money. I would love to be able to go back to my teachers and say, help me make millions of dollars. So who's the one in trouble now, huh?
Right.
So having the gift of talking to people and getting better at that can make you millions of dollars. No question. So I love to go to formal and informal networking groups. There's an organization called BNI. We have one in Southern California called Team. There's Chamber of Commerce. If you go on meetup.com, those are networking groups.
Right.
So if you go to these, you can join them, you can just visit them. I went to one and visited it, and there was probably only 7 people there. It was like a little breakfast meeting. There was an insurance guy and a mortgage guy, and this little I call him little because he was so young. Like a 25-year-old MLM guy that was there with his water company. Promoting that. But I said to the group, and you got to be thoughtful when you're networking. And I told the group, hey, I'm flipping houses. I'm looking for houses, ugly houses, problem houses, distressed houses. And if you lead me to any realtors or people, but typically realtors are what it's hard for them to find referrals for. I said, if you lead me to any realtors, I'll pay you $250 if I buy a house through them. So this kid, Joel, had 8 realtors call me within 24 hours. I couldn't believe it because he's a big networker.
Yeah.
So you got to leverage the good people to leverage. And one of those agents I bought and sold 2 houses with.
That's great.
And he got his check for $500.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I teach is, not only have integrity and do what you say you're going to do, but what gets rewarded gets repeated.
Yeah.
It's like kids or dogs. You give them a reward for something and they're going to do it more. So Joel saw me on Facebook a couple months ago and started having realtors call me again because he remembered he got $500 for doing that. So,
the great thing about one of the really interesting things about networking is you never know who you're going to meet.
Right.
You never know who knows who, and I think what you end up finding out if you're kind of a master networker, if you start to do this, just how small the world is about how you meet somebody that you had no idea knows some of the same people or knows somebody that you want to know that you never would have guessed. I mean, it's really amazing.
Right. And I think the key to that is, number one, asking how you can help that other person, what they're looking for. But just reciprocity, they're going to turn around and ask you, oh, well, what are you looking for? How can I help you?
Right.
And just today, a couple hours ago, I did recently get my realtor license, and I went to my Coldwell Banker sales meeting, and I was talking to the office manager afterwards, and I mentioned in passing, I'm like, wow, gosh, we've got like 5 deals in the last few weeks. Now I'm at the point where I need more cash. And she just volunteered, oh, I know an investor in Irvine. She has lots of cash. She's looking for a place to invest it. But if I hadn't like brought up, what's going on,
right.
told her what I needed, hey, it wouldn't have come up.
Yeah.
So I would say don't be afraid to tell people what you're doing, what you're looking for. And then, of course, always ask, hey, what's going on in your business? What are you looking for?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what are some other tips that you use for networking? How do you talk to a little bit about this guy, Joel, saw you on Facebook? I mean, how important is social media in terms of networking?
I don't access social media as much as I should, but it has worked for me. So one time a few years ago, I put out just a post on my Facebook wall saying, hey friends, if any of you know of any realtors, I'm always looking for realtors to buy houses from. I mean, I really focus on realtors because I think more people know realtors than they do of a problem house. But I'll ask about houses too.
Sure.
Say, hey, if anyone leads you to a realtor, I'll pay you $250 again. So my girlfriend from junior high that had Facebook friended me, and we don't talk a lot, every few years or something. She said, hey, you should talk to my brother who's a realtor up in Apple Valley. I'm like, okay. Sure enough. I mean, that led me to, buy and flip a couple of houses with him. And she got her check for $500.
Wow.
Once again. So I always try to make it, I don't just say, hey, who do you know? But I always tell them that I'm going to reward them with money.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, you could do whatever. I mean, if you can't afford $250, and depending on your market, maybe it's a restaurant gift card. But people just love to be appreciated and rewarded.
There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
So, yeah. And I'm on LinkedIn. I have a profile there. A wholesaler found me that's definitely excited to work with me there. But I'm not really leveraging LinkedIn. I'm not the expert there. But Facebook, I think, is great. I'll put pictures of my before and after houses that people love to see. And it just kind of reminds them like, oh, yeah, Holly buys yucky, nasty, stinky houses. And they see the before pictures and they're like, oh, like, how did you do that? So,
yeah, that's one of the things that I teach people on is the importance of, a lot of people, it'll be interesting to get your thoughts on this. A lot of people, I usually give some people have heard me say this before. So for those that are listening that have heard this before, I'm sorry. But as I say, how many people think they're good at going to networking events, RIA clubs, things like that, and meeting people? Just keep your hand up until I say something that doesn't apply to you. And so everybody kind of raises their hand, most people. And then I say you gather a lot of business cards while you're there and meet a lot of people and stick them in your pocket, get home, put a rubber band around it and throw it in a drawer, never to be seen again. And, very few hands go down because a lot of us have associated networking with just the initial meeting, where you and I both know the magic that happens is the ongoing relationship, right?
Absolutely.
So talk a little bit about how you kind of maintain those relationships once you've made them.
Sure. Well, one thing I will do is, and I learned this at from a master network, is I'll take a business card. And here's one from Maui Mastermind. If you meet someone at a meeting that you think is someone you really want to talk to, especially for me, a lot of people, it's hard to remember who's what, fold the little corner of the card down like that. And then that's like, oh, that's a hot person I need to follow up with. Like, wait, maybe I shouldn't say hot person. Hot lead.
They may or may not be hot.
So that's great. And what I will do is I'll stick those cards in my car in the little center console. And when I'm on the road, because I'm on the road a little bit, checking out houses and going to networking meetings, I call them and go, hey, Ralph, I met you at the such and such meeting. Just want to talk to you a little bit more. What are you looking for? How can I help you? And I'm always looking for ways to work together, whether they're a source for private money, source for deals, source to realtors, source for contractors. I mean, you never know. And I just like to get that conversation open and going to see how it goes. I have in my email, I have I guess it's called a list where I categorize realtors, and I will shoot out an email to realtors every so often with a reminder, not with all each other's contact, in a BCC. I mean, I don't have anything official like constant contact or anything going yet, but I know investors that do that. Just say, put in that title, cash buyer needs house. I need to buy houses for cash now. And just remind them the 3 things I want: purchase price, ARV, request for repairs. I have cash. I'm ready to buy. I'll resell with you. So I'll follow up with realtors with email. Another thing I've done is I use a service called Send Out Cards, which is a network marketing company. And I use their photo cards, especially if I get a photo at a club or a face-to-face meeting, and I'll shoot them an actual physical card. I wish I had one out, but it's a 5x7 greeting card with a picture on it. Looks really nice, and people will save pictures of themselves.
Yeah.
If it's a picture of them, they're not going to throw it away. If it's just like a marketing brochure, they might not keep it.
So what do you send? You send them a picture of what?
So if I'm at a club and I get pictures, which some of the clubs I go to, we take lots of pictures, especially in Best Club for Women, even though men are there too. We take lots of pictures.
Especially if they're hot, right? If they're hot, you take a picture.
What's that?
Especially if they're hot. You'll take a picture
of
them?
Yeah, the hot prospect. Yeah. So I'll send them a card, or especially with a realtor, I'll say, hey, it was really nice to meet you. With the realtor, thanks for taking the time to listen to what I'm looking for. I'm looking forward to doing business with you. And sometimes I won't have a picture of them, but I'll send a picture of me and my family or my kids or something. And it's just a great way to follow up and stay at the top of their mind, because I can't tell you how many times a realtor will see me at a meeting or something like, oh, Holly, you'd have been good for that deal last week. I forgot about you. I'm like, dang, why? How are you forgetting about me? I'm not doing my job of, staying at the forefront of their mind.
Yeah, back to that kind of comment of throwing those cards in a drawer somewhere. It's important to follow up with those people, because very rarely are you going to meet somebody that says, oh, you're looking for distressed houses at a deep discount? I've got 5 of them right now. It's going to be like, 6 months or 2 years later when they come across that and they think of you, and they're not going to think of you unless you're top of mind, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's definitely one way. Or I'll even text some realtors. It just kind of depends on your relationship with the person, how you think, the best way to contact them, or Facebook message.
Yeah.
Post on their Facebook wall or on one of their comments, comment on something that they've done. That's a great way to compliment them on something going on in their life on a Facebook post. People love to be appreciated and complimented. Yeah. So then they're like, oh, yeah, Holly, what does she do? Oh, yeah, she's that house flipper.
Yeah.
It's just a nice way to stay in front of their mind.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So any other kind of tips that you could share with us today? Any secret sauce that you want to share a little more of?
Yeah, I would just say, don't be afraid to tell people what you're doing and what you're looking for. Just like, I mentioned at the networking groups and on Facebook. Another, what I would call lifestyle networking moment I had was I called my daughter's club volleyball owner. So she was in this club volleyball team, and I called him to say, hey, how do I sponsor the team? Because I'm looking for the way to cover her fees, but have it be a tax write-off, the CPA and me. So as we're talking about that, and I said, well, do you know where I can get a banner? Because you get a banner for it, you can hang it up in the gym. And he said, oh, well, my real estate sign company could be a great place. I'm like, are you a realtor? And he said, well, yeah, but I'm not really active. I'm doing my club volleyball thing. But sure enough, I said, well, I'm always looking for houses that I can fix and flip. And do you know anything offhand that, do you know about anything there? He lived in Laguna Beach. And he said, well, actually, yeah, the one next door to me would work. I went, okay, tell me about it.
Yeah.
This was like 9 a.m. on the way to the gym. I was talking to him. I got home. My husband and I immediately checked it out online, ran comps. We were down there within a few hours. He was in charge of this lady's estate that had passed away. It was his neighbor. She had no family, so he was the listing agent. And he negotiated this great deal for us, and we fixed and flipped this house because I wasn't afraid to pounce on that word of his real estate sign company. My radar's up. I'm always listening for those words. And if I'd just been like, oh, that's nice, you're a realtor, I would have missed out on that great opportunity on that fun little house in Laguna Beach we flipped.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I want to kind of reiterate something that you said, not necessarily explicitly, but I just want to kind of, I think it would be good to restate it for people to listen again, is that a lot of the networking opportunities that you're going to meet, that you have to find people, are not necessarily real estate focused events, right? Just kind of general networking. And part of that is, the reality is, if you go where everybody else is trying to meet the same people you are, there's just more clutter and noise, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I'll share, as I see this in the background, one way that I stood out. So here's my little networking hat. I was invited from my escrow company to a Women's Council of Realtors tea party. 200 ladies dressed up in nice dresses. It was the afternoon fancy tea, and they requested you wear a nice dress and a hat. Not this kind of hat. That's not what they meant. But I showed up in this, and all the other ladies had their fancy frilly hats and dresses. And I definitely got noticed in this. All the realtors were like, why are you wearing a hard hat? What's that about?
Yeah.
Open the door of conversation like, well, I'm a house flipper. May I have your card? And I'm always looking for realtors to work with. So don't be afraid to stand out. I mean, I've worn this a few times and people call me now the pink hard hat lady. So
there you go. That's so much truth in standing out in a crowd, because when you go to, especially when you go to specific networking events, there's so much noise and so much clutter. How do you get kind of that share of mind? So
exactly.
Yeah. Any advice on what to write on sandwich boards that you might wear at an event?
Make money with me.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There you go.
You don't want people to think they have to be a realtor to find house deals for you either.
Right.
You know, sometimes it's just them accessing their mind. Is that the reticular activating system? Like when they say, oh, as soon as you get a red Ferrari, you notice everyone has red Ferraris. Mm-hmm. Maybe not in your town, but I guess there's a few of them down here. Yeah. Anyway, if you are, you know, trying to get people to think of and notice the ugly rundown problem houses, or when their buddy says, oh, I got this horrible rental and these tenants keep trashing it, for them to tell you about it, that's what you want. You want them to think of you when they hear that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Maybe can you share any tips on, from a networking perspective, what your marketing pieces are, like business cards and things like that, or kind of advice that you'd give people on how to, you know, not get the cheapo Vistaprint card that says Vistaprint on the back? Like, you know, I mean, I don't know if you have anything physically to share there, but just some advice you could give on how people can kind of stand out through their collateral. I know some people give like larger business cards, or
Now, here's my business card. Okay. Can you see that okay or not? So it's got a picture. I think pictures are really key. Even if you're not the best looking in the world, people will remember you so much more. If there's no photo on the card, if it's just laying on their desk, I'm like, what was that person? What did they do? And I just have the word real estate investments on my card, because I use the same card to talk to people about private money as I do all kinds of things.
Yeah.
So I probably could step that up. I have a little half sheet flyer that I print in, usually in neon color, that I try and have with me to give to realtors, that says, hey, find houses for me. I'll buy it with you and resell it with you. Guaranteed. Contact me for more information.
Yeah.
So it's just a half sheet. It's nothing fancy. I could definitely do better, but it's really nice to have that. If I mean, see a realtor, I can whip it out and hand it to them and say, hey, here's my program. I'm always looking for realtors. You can make double or triple or quadruple commissions with me, and I want you to make money.
Yeah.
I want this to be a win-win, and they love that.
Yeah.
So that's something I do. That's about it. I have my business cards and that flyer.
Yeah, one thing about kind of business cards and flyers or any marketing collateral you'd have that I kind of advise people is make sure you've got, you know, get a Rubbermaid container, like a small one or something, and just keep it in your trunk, or because there's nothing worse than going to an event and realizing you forgot your business cards, or you ask people, like somebody that you can help or that you want to work with, do you have a business card? Like, oh no, I'm sorry, I didn't bring any today. I mean, that's so unprofessional, right?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
awesome.
So you always got to have something with you.
Yeah, great,
and if you don't, get their card and email them and say, oh, I'd love to send you my contact info, or it's a great excuse to call them later and have a little couple-minute conversation about what's in it for them. You know, that radio station, WIIFM, what's in it for me? Think about why does this person want to help you? Well, you're going to give them a referral fee, or they're going to get a real estate commission or something. Just make it about them. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, one other thing I'd say that I kind of tell people about networking is kind of back to the getting the business cards and throwing them in a drawer, is for people that there's something there, the ones that you dog-eared, that were hot, the hot people, and even if they're not that hot, you know, just send a simple email, hey, it was great to meet you tonight or last night or whatever it was, and if I can ever help you with this, or if you ever come across that, whatever it is, because I think you could probably agree that most people at networking events, you could probably remember how many times that's happened to you. Like, you probably collected hundreds or thousands of business cards, but when somebody takes a step above and kind of acknowledges that we met and there might be something here for us to work with, it's so rare, it's kind of a shame, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Follow-up emails, and going along with that, put the same picture that's on your business card in your email, because that's your branding. They're going to recognize, like, because maybe they met 20 people that night at the meeting too with your photo, and they're like, oh yeah, Holly, the pink heart out lady, or whatever it is.
Right.
Mike, that guy, the ugly house guy. Oh yeah. So definitely, do as much as you can to stay at the top of their mind, and then maybe ask them, hey, would you mind if I checked in with you once a month or every couple of weeks. And let me know what you're looking for. If you're an insurance guy, hey, what kind of leads are you looking for? I'm going to be on the lookout. Tell me more about your business. They're going to be a lot more excited to take your call or open your email
Absolutely.
than if you're just like, find me a house, and you're push, your thing. But if you're giving to them, they're going to look for ways to help you.
Yep, absolutely. That's great advice. Well, Holly, just kind of one last thing. If people want to learn more about some of what you're doing, or maybe how they could work with you. I know you have a women's group and you teach some networking things and stuff like that. Where should they go?
Well, I have a new website that will be up in just a couple of weeks with a lot of these great networking secrets. It's called houseflipmasters.com. So houseflipmasters.com.
Okay, awesome. Well, we'll add that down below. And Holly, thanks so much for sharing your insights today. It was very good stuff.
Such a pleasure. Thanks, Mike.
All right, have a good day. Are you a member of FlipNerd.com, the most robust real estate investing platform in existence, where you can find off-market wholesale deals and great vendors literally in your market? You can get access to advice from experts and learn about local clubs and events right in your backyard. If not, please visit FlipNerd.com and register for a free account. You can register in less than a minute. It's pretty much the coolest site that's ever existed in the real estate investing industry, so get on over to FlipNerd.com.